Hi, I'm Tim Davis, chef at Caesars Atlantic City. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you step by step the procedure for making my entry to the 2012 Best Burger Challenge. So come on back and let's get started. My recipe is very simple. We basically break it down into 3 parts. And for this step I'm going to show you the first part, which is going to be our caramelized Vidalia onions, bacon, and bourbon spread. I've already preheated this pan here over medium-high heat with a little bit of olive oil. We're going to add our onions. It's about 2 cups of onions here. This is a little bit more than a recipe. What I'm going to make here is going to basically yield about 30 portions, 30 to 40 portions. We're going to let this go for a little bit, stir a few times until it starts to caramelize. Okay, so it's been about 6 or 7 minutes now. Our onions are starting to take on some color here. We're going to give them one more stir, and we're going to add some bacon. I've taken some bacon and we've already pre-cooked it off now. It's just going to help keep the texture consistent through the sauce here. So we're going to add this bacon, let this fat render out a little bit, stir that up. We're going to let that go for just a moment. And we're going to season this up a little bit. Taking 3 tablespoons of Caribbean jerk seasoning. I'm going to add that to it. Start to stir this up. Now you want to be careful and get this wet very shortly. We're just going to open up the flavors in those seasonings. We're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. And very carefully we're going to add about a cup of bourbon. Be careful because this will flame up if you aren't careful, the alcohol. Okay, this is going. We're going to let this go for a few minutes here carefully. We're going to let this alcohol cook out and we're going to let this reduce to a little bit of like a nice syrup. Okay, the consistency looks like exactly what we want. We're going to remove this from the heat and let it chill down to room temperature, and we're going to add it to the rest of our ingredients. We're going to start to assemble the rest of the pieces to develop our spread here. So we've got this here in a large mixing bowl. I've got about 2 cups of heavy mayonnaise. We're just going to add all this wonderful goodness to it. We're going to add about a half a cup of Dijon mustard. About the same amount, a half a cup of just regular ketchup, tomato ketchup. Same amount of just regular U.S. grade A honey. A few dashes of Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of cracked black pepper, about a teaspoon of salt. I don't want to add too much to it yet. We're going to taste it a little bit later. But we're going to get this mixed up now. It's going to start to have a nice brownish color to it with all the honey and the caramelized bourbon and onions goodness. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let this chill overnight, preferably. But we're going to move on to phase 2 of our burger, which is the candied smoked applewood bacon. Okay, what we have here is a slab of beautifully smoked bacon. This is smoked with applewood and hickory. It's got a really intense flavor. It's going to make this burger pop. Here is that same bacon sliced down. What we're going to do is we're going to take some maple syrup right here, a little bit of paintbrush action here. We're just going to paint. It's going to be important that you put this on parchment paper because when we take this out of the oven, we're going to let this cool. And all of this maple syrup is going to become hard like candy, and removing it from the pan could be a challenge because it likes to break. It's going to be pretty brittle. So the bacon itself on the inside is going to be a little soft, not too crispy like a breakfasty type bacon, which a lot of people like, but the candy shell is going to give it that crispiness. So it's going to be a nice little texture change when you go from outside to inside. And flavor profile, you're going to get the sweet of the candied maple to go with the salty of the bacon and the smoke flavor. Now we're going to finish this off with a little bit of cracked black pepper, which is going to give this a little bit of bite at the end of it as well. What we're going to do is add this to a preheated oven on a low temperature preferably about 300 degrees. We don't want it to go any higher than that because the sugar content of the maple will burn. So we're going to put this in the oven right now. A little slow and low. We'll go right in here to our preheated oven. We'll set this in here. Doesn't take long, maybe about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes maybe, and we'll come back and we'll see what this looks like. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. Let's open up and look at our bacon here. Looking good. Our maple syrup is nice and bubbly now. It's got a nice slow bubble to it, which means it is done. We're going to take this out and let this cool down. Let that maple syrup finish its candying process here. So we're going to let that cool down, and while that's going into the refrigerator, we're going to start to work on grinding our beef. All right. Now we're going to take a look at our beef here. We have a nice cut of Angus ribeye here. We're going to start to work on this. We're going to grind this fresh. What we're looking is for a lot of fat in here. We want to start to use this part here. A lot of this stuff here is all good in the burger. This is called the spinalis, so when we grind this up, we want to make sure that we got a good portion of that in there, because that's where the good stuff is. Already taken the liberty of grinding it for us already, and here we are. We're going to form our patties. We're going to start to sear them off as well. And you can see where the different parts of the fat went through the grinder here, but that's good. We want to be as soft with this as possible. We don't want to form this too much. So we want to be nice and soft. Looking for about an 8-ounce burger here. And that's pretty good. Loosely packed. I'm going to put this over here. Lightly season it with salt. I like to use a coarse kosher salt. Sea salt will be nice as well. Both sides. And we're going to start to saute this burger. So now we've got our saute pan over a medium high to high heat. What we're going to do is we're going to add some butter in here. Don't want it to be too hot. The butter will burn, but this is about just right. I'll let this go for a moment here, and we're going to add this burger right to the butter. Now you want to resist the urge to pat this or move it or do anything. We want this to get a nice hard sear on both sides, and we're going to finish it off in the oven. The butter is going to give it a nice soft flavor to it. We're going to let this go. We're going to let this sear on one side for about 6 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes, and we're going to flip it and do the same and toss it in the oven. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. We're going to look at the bottom of this burger now, and it is beautiful. So we're going to flip this over. Do the same thing on this side here. We're going to let this go for a minute here. Okay, this is going to continue to sear when we put it in the oven. We're just going to keep it in the pan. But a nice little secret here is we're going to add about I don't know, what is it, about a tablespoon of butter on top of there. Now we're going to put this into the oven as is. About 325, 350 will work. Doesn't take long. This part here will probably take about 5 minutes and the burger will be done. Medium rare. We're going to start to get ready to assemble the rest of the pieces. Okay, so now we're going to get our bacon, which should be just about ready. And it is. Beautiful bacon there. Look at this. Beautiful. Butter is completely melted, but the milk fats are just kind of sitting right on top there. Taking some sharp American cheese. Cooper will be just fine. They make a great sharp American cheese. Crisscross that there. We're going to do the same thing with the bacon. Crisscross it in the opposite directions. Put that back in for one more moment to let the cheese kind of get melty and the bacon kind of soften up just a bit. We're going to assemble our burger. So I've got a nice soft onion brioche here. We're going to cut that. Beautiful. We'll throw this on the grill for a minute. Okay, it's been about another minute and a half. Cheese is starting to be melty. Bacon, all the goodness that we have going on here. We're going to pull this out and we're going to let this rest for about 2 minutes. This is our spread that we made earlier that I made yesterday, so it can be nice and chilled overnight. We're going to get ready to go. I'm going to pull the buns off of the grill in a moment. We've got a nice steak knife we're going to use as a garnish as well. Sort of a pick. All right. Whew, hot stuff. Hot, hot, hot. All right. Here, I'm going to add 2 nice tablespoons of this onion spread. Be generous. This is the good stuff here. All right, that's going on to the top. Add that right onto the bun. Look at that. All right, got a little mixed field greens we're going to put on top here. Now, normally I would like to add heirloom tomato. My recipe usually calls for an heirloom tomato, but right now we are in June in New Jersey, and tomatoes aren't exactly in season yet. But if you can get a Jersey tomato onto here come late July, early August, you are talking. There's a little less acidity involved with that, but it is really talking. Now this, my friends, is a hamburger. I hope you enjoy this as much as I do, or as much as I'm about to. Enjoy. Thank you.